I'm going to start taking roll call now. Isana?
Here.
Chris?
Here.
Rachel, I'm present. Jean?
Here.
Yasmin?
Here.
Louis?
Here.
Utkarsh?
Here.
Okay, everyone is present for today's meeting.
All right, guys. So I think it's important for us to try to talk about our plans moving forward. I would want to tell you guys a little bit about the company that we're going to be interviewing or consulting for, the people that we'll be probably talking to, and then maybe try to figure out who wants to come to the office to try to interview, maybe help with some of the surveys that we might pass out, and just kind of figure out what we're going to kind of do from there. I believe on the last call report we put the dates of where we were gonna when we were gonna go, and we just haven't decided on exactly who. So that'll be important. So I know we kind of all looked over the last call report on the company and whatnot, but I'll give you guys more of a background. So I had spoke to my managers, and so we're gonna be talking to the marketing department on the healthcare side. So within the company, we have two departments. We have healthcare and industrial. And within my department, we have overall so for the marketing department, we have like communications people. We have a few senior managers, and then we have one, I would say, upper level manager. He's kind of overlooks the whole process. And then from there, we have the president of the healthcare department, and then above that would be the CEO. So we'll probably talk to the guy who's right below the president of the department. So he'll be like the main kind of, not the person that we're going to directly report to, but we can definitely talk to him about kind of the issues that were going on. He can kind of overlook it a little bit, and we can give him that bulk of information that we kind of pull from the surveys and from the interviews. So as far as the interviews go, we'll probably talk to my manager, two other managers that work within the department, and then there's also a few other people that are just kind of associates or specialists in the department and whatnot. And so as far as the issue, I guess, that goes, when I was talking to two of the managers, the one thing that they said was the biggest issue was the amount of meetings that they kind of have, which was kind of funny because the class a few weeks ago, we watched that video about the meetings and those people and how they, were kind of having trouble getting along and everything. And my one manager was saying that there's been a kind of a lack of leadership recently because the company split up into two different departments. I think a few years ago, they used to all be one big marketing group, and everybody kind of collaborated together. And when they split up and try to focus on one team going industrial and one team going healthcare, it kind of caused a mix-up because a lot of people are struggling to be able to find the either time that works for each other, or they don't know who they should go to for the information that they may need. So it seems that because of the split, a lot of people are confused on, should I go to that old person that I used to talk to that had the information, even if they have a newer, position or a new role? And it seems that almost everything's kind of coming down to, one person to figure everything out. So my direct manager, for instance, says that, on a daily basis, he comes in from 8 and leaves at, 6, 7 o'clock at night. And it's mostly because he's in meetings all day. And he says it's really taken away from the amount of work that he needs to accomplish on a day-to-day basis. He's not really able to do the work that he needs to do. And that's kind of caused them to have to hire new positions underneath them to just, be able to do that basic kind of work that he should be doing, but he can't because of the amount of meetings that he's in. And so all of the people that I had spoken to, I spoke to about 5, 6 people out of the 15 people that we'll probably be speaking to. All said the same thing, that they're constantly swamped with meetings, that they don't feel like they have the necessary time to be able to do what they're doing. And then when they go to these meetings, they don't really feel like they're beneficial. A lot of times it's 1 to 2 hours of them either sitting on a Skype call or going into a meeting room to just have to listen to somebody kind of tell them the same issues that they're facing when they, send them emails and this and that. But it's been a big issue. I mean, even for me working there, I don't have emails anywhere close to what my managers get. And, I even get put into meetings that don't really pertain to anything that I'm doing. And I think it's just people want everybody else to have that information to, make sure that I think what they're trying to accomplish is making sure everybody feels like they're involved and trying to make sure everybody is up to date. That way they don't have to have all these meetings, but it's just causing more confusion within the company. And, I don't know if that's exactly a issue management sees. And as far as I guess the senior manager, the one under the president, he's one of those people that's constantly traveling. So for him, it's like, he has meetings too, but a lot of the time he's not in the office. So I don't think he really gets to see how often his employees are out there, just in a meeting on a day-to-day basis. I mean, he's not really there to kind of see that issue happening. I think that's also kind of a problem too, is the amount of time that goes into these things is just causing a lot of kind of chaos within these, smaller departments. And for them to have to, almost be the backbone of a company, it's, something that's, they're really struggling with. So I guess from here we need to decide, what kind of questions do we want to ask when we decide to interview them. Not as much on the surveys. I think the surveys will be pretty simple, but when we get either that information back, or if we want to decide to send the surveys out and then interview them as well, kind of around the same time, and then kind of take all of that feedback at once and go from there. Or do we feel like we should maybe give them the surveys first, take that back, and then build off of that, and
Is there a way that we can do surveys online, through a Google form, and then you can hand them out, or you can we can print them for you, and you can hand them out?
Yeah, so we could either do it that way, or we could even create a Survey Monkey type thing, and I could just send them the links to complete that.
And then the next step after that would be to interview.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm really concerned about is that whenever you are doing any interview or any survey, you have to stay you have to keep your credentials. So whatever questions you ask, it can't be biased, and you have to be very specific with how you word it. So I think that you're right. The next few steps would be just figure out what specific questions, the way we should word it. We should create an online poll, however site we use it from, and then you can just start handing them out. And then the second step would be to go there and the interview. So we would need people in our group who would be willing to go to the company and spend some time, about an hour or two, I guess, interviewing. Since we have this information, we can just start rolling along.
All right, can you guys hear okay?
Yeah. What was that noise?
That might have been Gene's phone, maybe?
Oh, I see it's muted. Oh, he just must have muted it.
That was me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
back to kind of what you were saying.
First step would be to who wants to create a website that we all have the username and password to, and we can finalize the questions that we want. We can actually do that right now, or we could have another meeting, or we can make a Google Docs where we just each of us add 2 questions. And then Chris can verify that they're actually relevant to his company and stuff like that. Or Chris, you can decide how do we want to go about deciding the questions. That would be the first goal.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can work together and try to figure out. I mean, I don't know if we want to do some type of research on this kind of issue that other companies maybe had faced. If there was any other maybe surveys that have been asked about this kind of issue, and then kind of build from there. I think it's kind of maybe trying to find out, what, not entirely just okay, like are the meetings don't seem to be an issue, but it's the amount of it. So, like how many meetings are some of these people, going to on a day-to-day basis, and how much time are they spending within an 8-hour workday in meetings? Because if out of 8 hours they're spending 6 of them in a meeting, and then you factor in a lunch and then the little bit of time they get to work, obviously that's not beneficial to the company or to the department. So I think trying to figure out, how much time are they spending, how many days a week are they spending on these, how, kind of questions like that we can, figure out will probably be, one of the, first things that we kind of look at, and then kind of go from there to figure out, how do we think that, we could, try to get some advice, or what do we think we could do to try to help that, situation and that
So,
issue.
so should we start like we should like so like for the questions, how many hours a week do you spend in meetings, or how many meetings do you go to per week? We can have like that could be a question. How many meetings do you go per week? And like what they can do is there'll be like a scale 1 to 5, 5 being the most like that. They can do that. But what we'll do is like everyone is required to submit at least 2 examples, so that way they'll have at least 14 two questions that they think through GroupMe, and we will pick the top 10 by liking it on GroupMe, and whichever questions have the most likes, I guess, we could put it on Google Docs. Someone can volunteer to put it on Google Docs, and then somebody can put those questions. Another person will put it into a machine, and we'll send that to Chris, and Chris will send that out. Does that sound good to everybody?
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
Okay. And then the next step after that is we'll decide like the interviewing process, and we'll like go more in depth with them based off their responses.
Yeah.
Like not okay, so to be unbiased, we can't look at it has to be anonymous. We cannot look at who's submitting what and stuff, but what we can do is we can take majority of the vote. If more people say they spend a lot of time in meetings, in the interview we can ask them, do you believe it's true? Can you elaborate? So we can't say we saw you answered this.
Yeah.
That would be ruining our results. So
Yeah.
do you want to agree with like the whole interviewing process and stuff like that?
Yeah, so like definitely for the surveys, I wanted to let them know that, not to put a name, to just kind of get an overall,
Yeah.
idea of everything. And then as far as the interviews go, I mean, we could just kind of elaborate and say, like you said, okay, we realize that, based off the surveys that a majority of you said that you spend this much time in meetings, and then kind of like you're saying, they can maybe talk about that, or, kind of let us know maybe if they agree with that, if they disagree, or kind of, you know, if that's like the majority, why do they think that it might be like that, or what other underlying issues are, causing them to have to spend this much time? Because, I know for sure that it's not just there's that much collaboration going on that needs to always have a meeting. I mean, it's as simple as sometimes having to go to, if you have to sit down with your manager for a few minutes to go over, something simple. I don't think it requires a meeting with 5 people to be in it. So it's like, why every single time that there's a meeting, does there have to be 5, 6, plus people? It doesn't seem, it doesn't really make sense, I think, to them, is what they were saying. And that's
Yeah, what we could do to keep it anonymous is I know that some polls require you to have an email address. We could create a poll where anybody can put in their submission, and it doesn't require any trace, so it can be completely honest and like anonymous, and it'll be good. So,
yeah.
Other than that, Chris, I think all you need to do right now is figure out when would be a good day for you, because this is like the company that you're most close to, that would work for you to have some of us come down and interview them, so we can base our because like if next Friday is good for you, right? We have to get the first part of the surveys in by then. So we need to like schedule the rest of our steps based off of when you believe would be a good time to come in, and we need to figure out who would be willing to go as well.
Yeah. So I work on Mondays and Wednesdays. I'm there the whole day. Mondays and Wednesdays, I'm in school all day long, so I can't even take time out of either of those days to try to go in for an hour or two. Fridays would also be a possibility. We would just have to make sure we knew ahead of time if we were going to do that, because I would have to let some of the people know, depending on how many people we decide to interview. I think we have to do 12, or I don't know if we have to completely interview all those people or just survey them. But I have to make sure I let them know ahead of time, because sometimes they work from home. Sometimes, they're just not out of, in the office, whatever the case is. And
So,
go
sorry,
ahead.
were you about so for the survey, I've sent out Google Forms for like volunteer events.
Hmm.
So I could, based on the questions, I could make a Google form and you can make it anonymous so it doesn't collect the email addresses that it comes back from. So that way it will be anonymous.
Okay.
So what we could do is everyone's required to put in at least 2 questions. We'll do the liking system. We'll pick the top 10. And Isana, you can put it into Google Form for us. Would you be okay with that?
So I already
You already
put a Google Drive form. I
Okay.
feel like it would be better to just put them on here and say we'll like evaluate it as it comes. Just
Okay.
because I mean personally the
So,
constant texting, I might
yeah.
lose things.
Okay. So we could just directly put it into a Google Drive document, and then you would be willing to put it into a form, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And Chris, would you be willing to
Yeah.
send them out to everyone?
Yeah,
And
for sure. Yeah, I could distribute it, however, and then I'll make sure that I send out an email or speak to all of the people directly and let them know that I had this, and I mean I already had everybody agree that they would help us with this, so they're kind of expecting this already. So
okay. And if we were to visit the office, would it be like in the morning, the afternoon, or the evening?
it would be between 9 to 5. So I mean I'm there. I go from 9 to 5. So I mean we could come earlier if you guys have like 8. Most of my managers and most of the people are there between 8 and usually 4:30 to 5. So those hours would be best if anybody could make that.
Is anybody available Fridays from like 9 to 5?
This Friday or next Friday?
It'd either be probably next Monday, Wednesday, or Friday.
Next Friday
And
then.
where's the office located, Chris?
It's in Island.
Oh, I'm there.
I'm available next Friday.
Next Friday.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I work Monday through Friday 9 to 5, so I won't be able.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, that's
I mean, also if we struggle to be able to, I guess if going in person doesn't work out, we could always do a Skype meeting with them too. That would probably be just as fine. If one of us wanted to interview them while they're in the office or maybe off hours, I'm sure I could talk to my manager or one of those people and just say, hey, do you have 15 20 minutes to hop on a Skype call and we could just interview you about the survey results, whatever the case is. If that makes it easier for some people as well, then we could have, maybe 1, 2 of us, 3 of us in there to kind of hear what they have to say. And, that way we can all kind of gather that information, hear what they have to say. And then that way we can, kind of all interpret that information differently or, however we would take it and then go from there. So that's always an option as well.
okay.
If-
So right after deciding the interview questions, putting it into the Google form, we're going to be deciding what day and time we're going to be going for the interview. If it does not work out for most of us or it is not a convenient time for the interviewers or the interviewees, we will do it through Skype or some other form of communication where we can get like good results.
Yeah.
Is that good? And then are there any other steps that we need to take to complete this process, or would that cover about everything? Mhm.
I think that almost covers that whole basis. I do believe that the project overview said we might have to go twice. So I think of the first time we kind of have an initial interview. I think after we kind of gather the information and we see what the issue is and if there's anything that we could offer to them, we kind of do a follow-up interview just to let them know some of the findings that we had and maybe if there's any little things we think that we can maybe add to it or anything else we need to take away. I don't know if it's required to have to do that, but that, could always be, if we think, there's some more, information that we want to try to gather, maybe we want to talk to 2, 3 more people, we could just do another quick interview with them to, get that last little bit of information that we need. And then from there, I think we'd be pretty good to try to, come to our final conclusion of what the issue is, how we kind of plan on, what we want to come back to them with and, give them our input and what we think, would be able to help them the best.
Okay. I think I'm looking at the T4, yes. For T4, it says we also need background information about the company. Like, we need to figure out their strategy, their mission, vision of the organization, business unit, work group, and department. Do you think that's like, and also like roles of duty or duties within the organization, all of that information? Do we need to like have a separate survey asking them this, or Chris, do you think that you would know most of this information for
Yeah,
them?
I can get that information. As far as the roles go, I'm able to just look at everybody that we would be interviewing or surveying, and I can figure out their exact role, the exact department that. I mean, they're all in the marketing department, so that part's cleared. I can figure out exactly each role that one of them has within the company, and then as far as like the mission statement, the values, the goals, that's all stuff that I already know off the top of my head. So that's I don't think we need to add give them any more information because I don't want to take too much of their time. I want to make sure that, we, whatever time that we're able to have with them, we use to the best of our abilities. So, the more information that we can just kind of get with as little, time that we need to bother them would be best.
Okay. So other than the whole process and the next few steps that we're going to be taking over the course of this week and next week, does anybody want to like say anything for the whole interviewing and survey process and getting the questions? Does anyone add or adjust anything?
Well, for the survey, I feel like we should get that out as soon as possible, because it might lead to additional interview questions, or we might see redundancies where we could remove interview questions.
Yeah.
So like I believe that by this like Friday afternoon we should have all of the interview questions down. So by tomorrow, even during class, right before class, we could just really quickly briefly go over some interview questions, add some more survey questions, and then we can just finalize them, and then by Friday night we should have that ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, when I go in on Monday, I can push out that survey to everybody and have them fill it out. That way, if we do decide to go on Friday to do any in-person interviews, we would already have those results by then that we can either use to help us with an interview process, or if we have any Skype calls with people, we can at least hopefully have that information by the end of the week.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's,
We could always, we could always send it over email just because I'll send you an old form that I did so you could see what it looks like. But we could just have them fill that out, and then Google Drive automatically collects the responses. And I feel like giving people their own time to complete it would be more convenient for them.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what we're gonna do. The only problem is the company Chris might work for, the email addresses might be only like secured through the company. So is it like you can only send out the email if you're on a company computer?
I mean, if there's a link to it, I can just send the link to everybody. So, I mean, it shouldn't have to.
So we could do that like Friday night if we get all of that in. If we make a form where it collects everything in Google Drive, you could send it out Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I can add everyone as, I think it's called like collaborators, so we can all edit and see the responses. I won't be able to do that until like Saturday or Sunday though. I get home from work at like 8 on Fridays.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly fine because, the likelihood of them answering it Friday anyway is not very high. So I don't think they would, look at it until Monday. So, I mean, especially when I go in on Monday, I'm going to make sure I let them all know, hey, I sent you guys this, even Monday when I get there, I can let them know, hey, I'm going to send you this link to the survey. Can you just take like quick 5-10 minutes, fill it out for me, and then, that'll be it. And that way, at least they know, so we know that it's, it'll be, taken care of.
Okay. So other than that, for these next few steps, does anyone else need to say anything about how we're going to be interviewing, taking surveys?
Did anyone mention how many exact interview questions we're gonna ask? Like,
Probably around 10, I think.
10, yeah.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think 10 is probably, more than enough.
Yeah.
So should we sorry Rachel, were you gonna say something?
You're good. Keep going.
Should we like split the questions depending on their position? Because I feel like 10 is a lot for like one person, or maybe like.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty sure like 8's usually like kind of what people like to answer about. Like, usually 7-8 questions is kind of like that sweet spot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we could maybe if we ask like 10 overall questions, but some of them are just more kind of general, you're saying, to like everybody, and then we could maybe split up 2 questions or so to that direct position, to kind of see the differences between a senior manager and maybe just a specialist.
Yeah, well, we can figure it out as
Yeah.
the weeks go on. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to look at the questions too. So, I mean, as we, come up with questions, we'll have to look at, are there any that we feel need to be, only directed to maybe, like a senior manager, or do we think that they could all be, evenly distributed to everybody and, would still benefit, us in the end?
Just do that training question. Okay. So right now we're at 25 minutes of our meeting, so I'm just gonna go over the dates that we have to remember. One of us has to submit the team meeting recording. I'll submit that through Blackboard, and I'll send you guys all an email of it because we all have to review this. Just a reminder, tomorrow we have to have one paper document about the feedback of this meeting, and we have to print out and bring in the team assessment surveys. Next week we're gonna have to do the team completion of the team assessment survey. And then the week after that, week 9, is when our interview data, the surveys, and all of that is all due. So
Okay.
we have to remind our due dates. We have to remember when.
So 2 weeks from tomorrow?
Yeah, 2 weeks. Right now,
Okay.
we're at 6. So next week is week 7, and then it's gonna be week 9.
Gotcha. All right. Sounds
Okay.
good.
So
Yes,
everybody good?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
yes,
Yep.
but I would like to say that to get their opinion and their problem so that we fix quietly, we need to see, we need to do the interview physically now via Skype like we did, because we need to fix their problem. I suggest if we could, some of them going to interview them in their seat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I'm going to stop right here because I have some pressure on me. Thank you, guys.
All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Stop recording now. Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Bye.